Fast X just came out, and it was a crowded street race of a movie. And the closer the franchise gets to the end of the road, the more we just want to get there already because the saga is showing some signs of needing a tune-up. The cast is all over the world in this one, from Rome to London, Portugal to Rio, and even Antarctica. And unfortunately, the story was kind of just as scattered as the crew was. The first of a trilogy to close the long-standing series, they cram a ton into the 2.5-hour flick. From bringing new characters into the mix, turning enemies into allies, and even resurrecting familiar faces, which is both exciting and a little tiring at the same time at this point. There are definitely mixed reviews about it, so let's dive into some of the key points of the movie because, with so many storylines packed into one film and no conclusion to any of them, there's a lot to unpack. So do me a favor, hit the like button really quick and let's go. Spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Dom and his friends killed Hernan Reyes and stole his family's money back in Fast 5, so Dante Reyes, played by Jason Momoa, is introduced to the film as the devil himself by none other than Cipher of all people.
I'm Dante. Enchanté.
At the Toretto household, after escaping an attack herself by Dante. He's been plotting to destroy Dom and the rest of the crew for the suffering that they've caused him, and being the mastermind that he is, stole Cipher's tech and crew to carry out his plans. Dante seems to cause the suffering he set out to do and scatters the whole Toretto crew from each other, and the family is dismantled for most of the film, which splits the movie into so many mini-stories, almost too many, leaving Dom helpless with his son in a cliffhanger ending where the two are in Portugal at the bottom of a dam that's about to burst. Dante is definitely a shining star all throughout the film, giving the audience Heath Ledger vibes as the Joker from Dark Knight. The guy's such a sociopath, he's even seen painting the nails and having a conversation with a dead person. Jason Momoa's energy truly trumps everyone else by a long shot, and we're here for it. Letty ran to Rome with Dom after finding out that the job in Rome turned out to be a setup and a major ambush by Dante. And after Rome was left rattled, Letty at this point was separated from everybody else early on after getting taken by the agency. She ended up meeting Cipher at an undisclosed black site, and after beating each other senseless, Letty realized that she needs to work with Cipher to get out of there after finding out she's in the middle of Antarctica. And Cipher happens to have a plan to escape. The film basically leaves them with each other there, and Letty's completely unaware of the chaos that her crew's going through in different parts of the world. With Mr. Nobody out of the picture and Little Nobody out for now after getting injured in the Rome debacle, we're introduced to Ames, who seems to be the head honcho at the agency, while Tess, Mr. Nobody's daughter, tries to stop him from his own pursuit of stopping the Toretto family, but doesn't have the power to do so. Things take a turn when he eventually sides with Dom, only to later flip on him, revealing that he's been working with Dante ever since the heist in Fast 5, which could mean that the agency is entirely corrupted at this point. Because of the agency's reach, anyone affiliated with Dom is at risk, and this brings more characters out of the woodwork. We just mentioned Tess, Mr. Nobody's daughter. She, just like her father, trusts Dom and the whole crew and goes on her own journey to help the cause, but ends up needing to go to a hospital following the events in Rio after an attack by Dante, where another new character, Isabella, who's Elena's sister, takes that responsibility into her own hands to get her to one. And just in case any of you forgot about Elena, she's little Brian's mom, Dom's former lover from Fast 5, who ended up killed by Cipher. One of the mini-stories in the film is centered around Jakob.
What's up?
Uncle Jacob?
Your dad sent me.
Who bursts onto the scene when Mia and little Brian are under attack by the agency. Jacob saves the two and takes on the task of getting little Brian to a secret hideout for the crew to go to, and has Mia go back to her family, so we assume she's safe with her husband and kids for the time being. Jacob's story is a fun kids action film on its own, but we still see Jacob struggle with the guilt that he still has from causing so much pain to the crew from F9, wanting so badly to redeem himself as part of the family.
Holy sh...
Cannon cars.
This all boils over when Dante snatches little Brian from Jacob, and he does the only thing he feels he could do at this point to protect his nephew, sacrifice himself. Now, the knee-jerk assumption is that he's dead, but in this world, resurrecting someone back into the storyline isn't out of the question, so we'll have to wait and see if he comes back into the fold in the next two films. After the Rome incident, Tess, Roman, Han, and Ramsey are left with all of the money stolen from their accounts, but they do have each other, and they go on their own quest to get the resources that they need to help Dom. This brings them to London, where Pete Davidson makes a brief appearance, and what really gets them what they need is a visit to Deckard Shaw, after Han and Shaw got reacquainted, which is huge because they haven't seen each other since Shaw thought that he killed Han. They come together to take out a bunch of mercenaries that swarm Shaw's place and get what they need to get back to Dom. Shaw's part in the film is also short, as Ramsey informs Shaw that Dante's using the money he stole from the crew to hire mercenaries to go after anyone that's helped Dom in the past, including Shaw's mother Queenie, who also briefly popped into the movie to try to help Dom get out of Italy. Shaw loads up some gear for himself after getting the info and goes on his own crusade to make sure that his mom is safe, so we'll have to see what comes out of that later in the trilogy. There's so much going on in the movie that it spills into the credits, where another character comes back into the fold, Dwayne Johnson's Luke Hobbs. Apparently Dante's been tracking Hobbs down too, and I mean, he did fire the fatal shot to his dad after all. In the scene, Hobbs is led to a room where he hears a message that the devil is coming for him. Needless to say, we'll be seeing more of Hobbs because Dante's bringing the fight to everybody. Now, even more surprising than that has to do with Cipher's plan to get out of Antarctica. Although she was only briefly in the film's beginning, middle, and end, the story around her peaked in her last appearance. See, in the beginning when she arrived at Dom's place in LA to give him a warning that Dante was after him, she was bruised and battered, nearly escaping her own death by the hands of Dante. And in the middle of the film, she was much more lively, having healed most of her wounds, while she and Letty beat the hell out of each other. But by the end, her plan to escape the black site involved a submarine, kinda like the one from Fate of the Furious. And while that's pretty cool, what really made jaws drop was the person that popped out of the sub, Gisele, who we all thought died in Fast and Furious 6. This is possibly the biggest surprise in the film, because it leaves the most questions. Where did she end up if she didn't die? What's she been up to all this time? What is she doing with Cipher? And how is Han gonna react? All in all, as busy as the film is, and as tired as some of the repetitive Fast and Furious things are in this film, I'm pretty sure plenty of people are going to enjoy themselves if they haven't seen it yet. It's an action-packed blockbuster, and despite any criticisms, it's actually pretty enjoyable if you go in ready to watch it for its over-the-top, revved-up action. If you've seen Fast X already, what did you like or dislike about the movie, and why? And if you haven't seen it yet, are you planning to? Let us know in the comments. And be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more entertainment spill. Till then, that was the gist.